Hey guys, Mark here. I don't know too much about this Tucker Carlson guy. I've just started hearing about him recently. I don't really watch um, any news station in particular, but I've noticed that Tucker Carlson has had some pretty incredible interviews in the past couple of days. And I don't know if you saw the one the other day where he was interviewing the guy from the CIA, asking him to simply say 100% yes or no if he had proof that the Russians hacked the John Podesta emails, and he wouldn't give a yes or no answer. And this went on for several minutes, and it was just pretty darn telling. Now, um, he interviews this gentleman right here from Newsweek about asking him about his journalistic bias and falsehoods he's been feeding, which is obviously an interesting topic since all of the mainstream media, it seems, is going on and on about this fake news. And he asked him a very simple and very direct question about some of this guy's just absolutely absurd tweets that should not be coming out from a reporter, and he asked them to explain one of them, and what happens next is pretty darn telling and pretty incredible. This I'm just going to show some little clips here, and I'm going to do some critiquing through the way, and yeah, we'll just see how this thing turns out. But y'all got to see this. This is crazy.
We've shown you many examples of journalism veering outside the conventional lines on this show. But one Newsweek senior writer has made a name for himself this election season with an arsenal of florid headlines, especially florid ones. His name is Kurt Eichenwald, and he joins us now. Kurt, thanks all for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So I've been reading your stuff for, 20 years probably. But in the last year, I've noticed an increasing, I think it's fair to say, partisan turn from you. And so I looked up your bio, and it describes you as a senior writer at Newsweek, which suggests journalism. Do you believe that you're practicing journalism?
Oh, so y'all hear this, right? He brings this dude on the air. The very first question he asks him is, do you think you're practicing journalism? And guys, there's a lot of people out there who claim to be journalists who need to be asked that very question. Wouldn't you agree? Let's listen to his response.
When did you stop beating your wife?
Oh. So we ask him that question, and his response is, when did you stop beating your wife? Are you kidding me? This is supposed to be professional journalism, and he just asked Tucker Carlson when he stopped beating his wife, and he's laughing about it.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I read your Twitter feed, and this is the kind of stuff I'm reading on it. At one point...
And keep in mind, he's talking about this dude's Twitter feed. And I'm sorry, but if you're a reporter and you're supposed to be reporting unbiasedly, you shouldn't be tweeting all sorts of craziness. Well, let's hear the kind of stuff that's coming out of this dude's Twitter.
You ask of conservatives, why do they hate America? You describe Trump as, quote, stupid and lazy. You refer to dumbass Trumpers. You say this to Kellyanne Fitzpatrick. F you. You say this to Trump.
He told Kellyanne Fitzpatrick, F you, dumbass Trumpers, and why do conservatives hate America? This is the kind of stuff that's getting tweeted from your unbiased journalist.
Hold on here, Tucker. I mean, one of the things I want to make sure of, you have a real habit of taking a lot of things out of context.
I can read
and
the
so
tweets.
If you're going to talk about a tweet, let's talk about a tweet. Read me what it says, and we can talk about it. But let's not just sit here and take a couple of words here and there. Now, if you're talking about the...
Okay, would you want me to read you some of your tweets?
Read me one. Let's talk about the one that bothers you the most.
Well, I mean, there are a lot.
And he says it right there. How am I supposed to nail it down to one when all you dumbasses keep spewing out the same crap? Let's continue.
And it's something they bother me.
But I can't answer a question about a lot of tweets. Give me an answer. Give me a question.
Well, you're entirely entitled to your opinion. My only point is that you ought to label yourself as what you are, which is an advocate. And so you say...
And that's exactly it. these people keep trying to label themselves as unbiased reporters, and really all they are is just an advocate for one particular candidate. Instead of trying to report the truth, they're reporting propaganda.
Things like this. How can Trumpsters defend a president?
Let's stop for a second. You won't give me an example.
I'm trying to give you one right now.
Then give me. Here, you know what? Let's play the game another way. I spent a little while just sort of doing some research on you.
Why don't you answer? Let me ask you this question. If you.
Oh, y'all see that, right? This dude brought out a whole binder of a book he calls Tucker Carlson Falsehoods.
Tucker Carlson Falsehoods.
Okay.
And I can sit here and I can read them to you one at a time.
I appreciate it.
And we can talk about what you have to say.
That's pretty good.
Or you can give me an example of what you're talking about.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. You wrote this.
And you remember if y'all have seen my other videos, one of the things they talk about in the Strong Cities Network's handbooks is the I don't know, I can't think of the exact wording, but they say you want to do things that make it a deterrent for people wanting to exhibit behaviors that you don't want to do. And that's exactly what this Eichenwald dude is doing right here. He's basically saying, you don't want to do what you're doing, because if you do, I'm going to open up my book of Tucker Carlson falsehoods, right?
On September 12th of this year, you said, this is a tweet, I tweet so many attacks on our bad, lazy work of the press, I doubt I'll ever be voted to win a journalism award again, which is also a humble brag, by the way. But the next day you say, quite ironically, and I'm quoting, I believe Trump was institutionalized in a mental hospital for a nervous breakdown in 1990, which is why he won't release his medical records. Do you see a little irony that on one day you're criticizing the press for being lazy and inaccurate, and the next day you yourself are being lazy and inaccurate?
Let me give you what...
And there we go, and he's exactly right, because he goes and saying that people are lazy and inaccurate, and then he goes and tweeting stuff that's all theory, right? This is complete theory. He's got no proof, and as you can see, let's see what happens right here when he gives the man an opportunity to give a definitive answer as to what's going on with his tweets.
The question is the journalist would ask. A journalist would ask the question, why did you send that tweet? I will answer it for you now. I've been covering Donald Trump. I started writing about him in the late 1980s. At that time, I obtained his medical records from his real doctor, not from this guy who sent out a medical report then. It showed that in 1982, he was given a very heavy prescription for an amphetamine derivative, and he remained on that prescription for many years. I knew from people inside the Trump organization that they were deeply concerned about his condition, that he was getting reckless, that he was getting impulsive, that he wasn't sleeping, that he was speaking with these sort of great variations of grandeur, that he could do anything. And in 1990, because he did so many deals that were so reckless, his whole empire was going into bankruptcy. And he was going through a divorce. And I was told that there was, and now, let me say, I'm talking about reporting process. So I'm saying, here is what I was told.
Was he in a mental hospital or not in 1990? You allege that he was. Was he or wasn't he? He wasn't.
I mean, Tucker, if you don't want me to answer the question,
I'm asking you the question. What?
This is getting a little ridiculous, y'all. He's been asking this dude for a while, was Donald Trump institutionalized or not? And he's dragging on and on and on. Let's see if he can get into a more definitive answer than the gentleman from the CIA did the other day.
In a mental hospital in 1990
but I would
or
like
not?
to answer the question. You've made an accusation. Let me answer.
No, I read your tweet.
So in 1990, I was told that there was essentially a breakdown. I'm giving reporting process here, okay? Clearly, I didn't print it. I also thought Trump was a private individual and that it didn't matter, you know.
Well, you printed it right here.
And that and this was as a result of the amphetamine derivatives that he was taking. Many, many years pass, and we have now the election. Now, up until that point, prior to the election... This is a very long story. You said he was in a mental hospital in 1990. Was he or wasn't he? Can I finish,
it's a really
Tucker?
simple question.
If you don't
He's still dragging on and on, but he won't answer a yes or no question.
The answer,
please answer the
if
question.
you don't like the answer, don't have guests. But I would really like to answer.
and seeing the reason why it's taking so long to answer is because he's got to feed the American people about 10 minutes of propaganda to feed stuff into their head before he can actually say, well, I don't actually know.
Answer your question.
It's
Now,
a simple question.
go forward
Was he in a
many,
mental
many
hospital,
years.
as you claimed, or wasn't he?
Tucker, would you like me to answer the question or
Okay.
not? If the answer is no, say so.
Please
but
succinctly
don't
answer the
pretend
question.
You
You're
want an
filibustering with
answer
this
if you
weirdness.
won't let
Okay.
me answer the question.
Kurt,
we can
go
go
ahead.
back and say, oh, here are Tucker Carlson falsehoods. Let's go through the one.
And there he's doing it again. Now he's threatening him with this Tucker Carlson falsehoods book, which is probably empty. Okay, this is probably all show, y'all, because he wants to filibuster on with more and more propaganda without actually giving a straight up answer. Just like the dude from the CIA did, who refused to admit that he had proof that Russia actually hacked the John Podesta emails.
Time.
Kurt,
I urge
you said the
I
guy
will
was
send
in a
these
mental
to you.
hospital.
You can put them
All
on
right.
the Fox News website.
Okay.
Do you want me to
Go
answer
ahead.
the question or not? Just give me
This
a
is
yes or no. Do you
highly
want me to answer the
tiresome.
question?
Yeah, I want you to answer this
Okay.
question. Was he in a mental hospital in 1990, as you alleged,
Let
or was he
me
not?
answer the question.
Go ahead.
You are. Look, you're not fooling anybody. You're trying to stop me from giving the answer. So let me give you the answer.
This is a little nutty. I got to be honest. I'm asking you.
Okay.
And he's right. It's a little bit nutty. This dude's dragging on and on. Can't answer a yes or no question.
I
Very
also
crisp
noticed
question.
earlier this week you take people off the air when you don't like what they're saying. So
Okay,
let's
Kurt,
keep
I'm
me
running
on
out of
the air.
time.
Let's finish this. You're
Okay.
making accusations
Okay.
against me.
You-
I have the right to respond.
I'm reading what you wrote.
So-
you described Trump as a, quote, paranoid,
Tucker,
unstable
nobody
man.
is getting
Do you have
fooled by
evidence for
this.
that?
You're not letting me answer the question.
Okay.
So
I think
let's
that
go
you're humiliating
to,
yourself by your unwillingness to answer a simple question. So please answer it.
I am
Last time.
trying to answer the
Do you have
question.
evidence he was in a
Unfortunately,
mental
unlike
hospital in
on your
1990, or don't
world,
you?
reality is not always able to give you a yes or no answer.
And there he goes. He's been blabbing on and on, giving you this long BS story, talking about, oh, well, in reality, I can't give you a yes or no answer. So let's do a bunch of baseless accusations around just to get the libtards all hyped up, right?
If you don't, look how much time we are wasting with me trying to say, let me answer your question, and
I can't
you
imagine negotiating
refusing to
something with
allow
you.
me to do
I think
it.
I would go crazy.
So I
Okay.
will continue.
All right.
What happens then when we get to, I begin to see Trump's behavior got very normalized in the 2000s. During the presidential election, I begin to see the same behavior, the impulsiveness, the lack of sleep. I mean, that's the same thing that he was doing.
This is just
You
stupid,
notice the
Kurt. I'm
tweets
sorry.
going out.
Nobody's getting anything
The-
out of
all
this.
the-
I'm asking you a
all
plain
the
question.
other-
You're not
all
answering.
the
You're
other-
filibustering.
all the
Let's move
other
on to something else.
You're not-
This dude's just blabbing on and on and on, and he's not saying anything at all. Like, this is crazy. And as you guys know, if you ever watch the news, you don't have 5 hours to give somebody an interview. You got a couple of minutes tops, unless it's the president, and you're done.
Can you stop?
Tucker,
This is not interesting.
No, Tucker,
Let me ask.
I am not allowing you to make an accusation and then
I'm not making an
allow me to
accusation,
answer. That
Kurt.
is
I'm
obscene. It is
asking
not
you to
journalism.
substantiate
If you
a
don't
claim
wanna
that
be
you
a
made.
journalist, If you want to have a dialogue, don't have guests. So
Can I
I'm
just
gonna
ask you
keep
one last
answering this
question?
And nobody's getting fooled. You're trying to
How
stop.
can Newsweek employ you as a reporter, Kurt?
And that's exactly what we've been asking all these people from Newsweek, the New York Times, and the LA Times, and all these other bogus CNN, bogus news networks want to go and throw out all these unsubstantiated claims like all these libtards do, and then get mad when you ask for proof.
When you're throwing lines like this around that are untrue, that you can't substantiate, when you say to the president's
Tucker, do you
spokesman,
just
F
not-
you,
do you-
that's not
do
the
you-
behavior of a
look,
reporter.
Okay, let's go here. Let me take one.
I mean, think about that for a minute. Can you imagine this dude who's supposed to be a well-respected reporter telling the spokesperson for the president-elect of the United States of America to go fuck yourself? I don't know about you guys, but I would be very, very afraid to tell one of the president's friends to go fuck yourself, because I would expect men in black suits to make me disappear real fast. So that's pretty ballsy, in my opinion.
For you. How can Fox News employ you? You really want to do this? Do you really want to play this game, or do you want me to answer?
Performance art. I've never had an
We can
interview like this
all
in
of
my
this-
life.
And once again, instead of simply answering the question, he's pulling out this deterrent book of Tucker Carlson's falsehoods, which in my opinion is probably blank because he obviously hasn't pulled anything out. He just keeps threatening with it so he can keep filling the American people with propaganda instead of just answering a very simple question.
Newsweek.com if you want. I can tweet it all out if you want. I'd like you to put it up on the Fox News website. Or you can let me answer your question.
I think you may be becoming a Dunkirk. How about this? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to answer this question. Do you have evidence that he was institutionalized in a mental hospital in 1990? 30 seconds.
Now, okay, I will say this, because it's a message I've got from people from the CIA. I know a lot of officers. I know a lot of agents. I've been in their homes, and they're really delivering this to you and to Donald Trump. These are people who have sacrificed a lot for this country. They go through into the CIA every day. They walk past that wall with 117 black stars. If you're going to say that we can't talk about the fact that there are 117 patriots whose lives have been lost serving this country, that's fine.
I'm starting to have concerns about you, Kurt.
Right now,
tell me what the secret message from the CIA is.
Who are putting their lives on the line.
What's the secret message from the CIA, Kurt? You see how he's just completely dodging the question? And that's it. And of course, right after this happens, it runs out of time. And just like this played out dude from the CIA, this 20-year veteran of Newsweek, who's supposed to be this unbiased reporter, is throwing out tweets around trying to claim that Donald Trump was institutionalized with zero proof, and he tries to use as much time as he can on the Fox News network to spew propaganda to the American people instead of just straight up telling them, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So, this is it, guys, and this is exactly what's going on. They're lying their ass off about everything. Tucker's been calling them out repeatedly, and I'd have to say at this point, from what I've been seeing from Tucker Carlson lately, he needs to just have a show called Yes or No. And he can bring on these bogus journalists who are spewing out all this propaganda and try to get them to answer yes or no questions. Because with the rate that his interviews are going lately, I've imagined it could be a very long time before somebody actually does. So anyways, as you can see, these dudes are played out. And wow. Anyways, y'all take care.